So here we have a function that can kind of look intimidating at first glance. We have an x value that has a radical, and we have another x value that's in the denominator here. When finding the derivative, I just kind of like to break the problem down step by step and kind of rewrite everything and clean it up. So go ahead and just say we have y is 5x squared. And now when we have a radical x like this from algebra, we know that radical x, that's equivalent to x to the 1/2 power. So we'll just rewrite it as that. So minus 5x to the 1/2 power. And now with this x in the denominator, also from algebra, let's say we have a 1 over x value. It's equivalent to being x to the negative first power. So we can rewrite this as minus 3x to the negative first power. So now that we have this kind of cleaned up a little bit, you can see that we can just use our simple power rule formula to find the derivative of these values. So if you recall, this is our power rule. So if we have an x value that's raised to any kind of power, we subtract that power by 1 and then multiply it and bring it to the front and multiply by our x value. So just kind of going down the line here, we have, let's say, y prime. In this case, with 5x squared, our 2 is going to be our n value. So we're going to want to bring this to the front. And anytime we already have a leading coefficient here, we just multiply our n value by that value. So in this case, it's 5 times 2, and that gives us 10x. And then our n value minus 1, which is 2 minus 1, just gives us one value, so we just leave 10x. So for here, our n value is going to be 1 over 2. And we're going to go ahead and multiply our leading coefficient by 1 over 2, which gives us 5 over 2. And then our n minus 1 value, so that'll be 1/2 minus 1, and that just gives us a negative 1 over 2. Now for this last part here, we have a negative 1 value, which is going to be our n, and we'll bring it to the front to our leading coefficient. So a negative 1 times negative 3 is going to give us a positive 3. And then since our n value is negative 1, we subtract that by 1, and that gives us a negative 2. So that's going to be 3x to the negative 2 power. And this is technically a correct answer, but you can even simplify it a little bit further depending on what your teacher may want. So in this case, we can have our 10x. And then since we have a negative 1 over 2 value, we know that can go in the denominator. So we can have, say, 5 over 2. And like we talked about before, x to the 1/2 power is equivalent to a radical x. So we could just have 2 radical x there. And then we can do the same thing here. Since we have a negative 2 value, we know this is going to go in the denominator as well. So we could have 3 over x squared. And that's our final answer.